Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast with more configurations than a Rubik's Cube. It's Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Covalent's in studio alongside
Art Shirley.
Mr. Extension Cord.
Mr. Extension Cord.
He's wrapped himself in extension cords like that's his new superpower.
That's right.
Because we're recording on Halloween.
That's right.
So I got to... Wow.
That sounded more like the count from Sesame Street.
Yeah, really.
1, 2... 2 guys of a certain age.
That's great. So there's 4 configurations of this show.
Yes.
There's the 3 of us. There's me and you, and then me and Jay, then you and Jay.
Yeah.
So I guess a Rubik's Cube actually has more configurations
Well, we
than 4.
occasionally have a guest join us. Yeah.
But, I mean,
yeah.
generally.
So that would only be 5, though, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's an odd number. We can't have that.
Well, we're odd enough for any
we're odd
number.
enough, that's right.
So, anyway. All right.
Never one just by ourselves, though, right? Have you done? You may have done. Did you do one that? I think we ended up recording Geeks, even if you recorded the second segment. Jay would know. Jay would actually be able to pull that up from his Rolodex.
Yeah, that's right.
His card catalog that he keeps on guys of a certain age.
So last episode, his geek was convoluted, 40 years old type of thing. And I really don't remember what it was. My apologies, Jay, but it was pretty cool. But it was a typical Jay's geek of the week. So that was 24 hours ago when we recorded that.
24 hours ago.
24 hours. I'm going to be curious who gets this synopsis written first, whether it's going to be you or Jay.
Oh, it'll be me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I don't care about mine. I don't think anybody's reading mine, but Jay.
Jay is pretty meticulous in his...
Mine, the facts don't matter.
Yeah, that's right. Just like the
I use the same
season.
one. It's like, what is it, ad-libs? It has the blanks. Today the guys talked about geek stuff.
You have your own template. I'm surprised you haven't done an AI on it yet.
I have done an AI on it before.
Have you?
Yeah, when we talked about AI.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into some Geeks of the Week. So what do you have? I mean, you've got a variety of celebrity deaths we haven't talked about yet.
Well, the one I'm going to talk about today is Teri Garr, who passed away yesterday as we were recording this. And sad thing, I always loved Teri Garr. She was great. My favorite comedy and one of my favorite Halloween movies is Young Frankenstein, and she played Inga in that. She was originally going to play Elizabeth, the part that went to Madeline Kahn, and Mel Brooks kind of had her on standby to play that role. And he told her, he said, "Look, if you can come back tomorrow with a German accent, you can play the role of Inga." And so she went and learned, how to speak in a German accent, and came back and did that. A lot of geek cred. Young Frankenstein, obviously. Close Encounters. She played the wife of Richard Dreyfuss in that.
I remember from Close Encounters.
Great in that. Of course, she's in Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton, so there's a degree of Batman separation there. She started out in her first major role, TV role, was in Assignment Earth, which was a backdoor pilot on Star Trek, the original series, that was going to have her cast as Roberta Lincoln, I think the human assistant to Gary Seven, who was, I think, originally from Earth, but had gone somewhere else. Maybe he was somewhere else. He was kind of a little bit of a Doctor Who-ish character.
Yeah.
And they had hoped to make that a pilot. And who knows what her career would have been like had that been successful. But the episode's one of my favorites. I've always liked that episode a lot. Like I said, she's always been great. She was diagnosed in 2002 with multiple sclerosis, and that's what ultimately led to her death the other day. But the frequent guest on David Letterman, he used to have her shower in his office as part of their skits. He later apologized, said that was kind of a sexist thing to do, and it was. But she was in, always funny on that show too. So sorry to hear that she's gone.
So there's a degree of separation there with between Teri Garr and I. She was on Mayberry for RFD.
She was. Okay, that's right.
She was
Yeah.
in 1968, one episode as a cashier.
Okay.
And so I had a friend, Elliot Street, who passed away about 6 months ago, who was on Mayberry RFD.
Wow.
as well.
Okay.
So yeah. But man, her IMDb list.
Yeah, it's just an incredible list of stuff.
Yeah, she was in MASH.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A bunch of TV series
Yeah.
before she ever really kind of hit big. And she said, she always kind of played, the harebrained blonde in a lot of things, and she did. But she played some serious roles. I mean, she has even though Tootsie's a comedy, she has a pretty serious part in that, and that's a great movie.
She was great in Close Encounters.
Close Encounters is great in that. Yeah, just really pulled that off as the mother and wife again of Richard Dreyfuss characters, who she believes is going crazy because he says he's seen this UFO.
This means something.
Yeah.
This means something. Mashed potatoes. Mr. Mom, like you said. Tootsie, like you said. The Sting, too, she was in.
I didn't realize she was in that. Yeah.
And
or
nobody
in my
realized.
notes. It's been my notes that are in my car right now.
They're in your car. She was also on Sesame Street.
1, 2 appearances by Teri Garr. I don't know.
No, just one appearance.
Okay, one.
Yeah. So, just kind of sad that she was very prolific. Did a ton of stuff, but Young Frankenstein's probably her definitive. She was in 3 episodes of Friends.
Okay. Oh, she was. I think she played Phoebe's mother.
I think she played Phoebe's mother.
Yeah.
Phoebe Abbott Sr.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
She was Phoebe's mom.
Okay.
And then she followed it up with Sin City Spectacular, which I don't even know what that show.
I don't either.
So
it's not the Frank Miller movie.
Yeah, no. She did a few
Robert
video
Rodriguez.
games. She was a voice in Batman Beyond the movie. So
another Batman connection. There we go. Wonder who does she play in Batman Beyond?
Mary McGinnis, and she was in the TV series as well as the movie and on King of the Hill.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So a lot of geek cred.
Yeah, and then Felicity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was in a Scooby-Doo, Aloha Scooby-Doo, as Mayor Molly Quinn.
Okay.
So, and that was in 2005, so relatively recently.
Yeah.
So
she still continued to work after her diagnosis with MS, and you'd see her on things all the time.
Yeah.
She did have a stroke later, but again was able to regain her power of speech and mobility and things, and appeared on David Letterman. One of David Letterman's favorite guests and one of his best guests. She always came, and they really kind of had no speech or anything prepared or whatever. She just kind of talked randomly off the cuff, and they got along really well.
Well, yeah. So that was one of the reasons we decided to leave that for you, because you covered those things so incredibly well. So, well, I've got something. I'm kind of glad Jay's not here because he may want to add it to his collection.
Oh, okay.
So the tumbler from Batman.
The tumbler
can officially be yours for $3 million.
You're talking about the actual tumbler.
I'm talking about the actual
tumbler. Which was the Batmobile for that movie.
Right. Not street legal at all, but Warner Brothers is allowing you to buy a replica of the tumbler. So they have...
How much is it?
$3 million.
Wow.
So
the
you can
low
get...
price of $3 million.
So there's a variety of Wayne Enterprise luxury items you can buy, including a $1,500 skincare product, a $21,000 mushroom lamp. They decided, hey, let's just go all the way. A $3 million tumbler.
Now, which movies did that feature in?
Well, that was in Batman Beyond. I mean, that was Batman Begins.
Batman Return.
Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know him so well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all 3 of the Nolan trilogy movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be fully functional. It includes modifications and personalizations for every buyer, including custom fit interiors.
Yeah.
So
Black's going to drive up in that next week.
Yeah. 6.2 liter engine, 525 horsepower, 468 foot-pounds of torque.
What's the mileage on that thing?
Let's see if I don't know. I'm looking.
11.
It has advanced software upgrades. That's one of the things.
That's nice.
5,500 pounds.
Good grief.
Yeah, it's a full.
Yeah,
it's a full ton.
Yeah.
Kevlar carbon fiber, sheet metal, fiberglass.
We were car shopping last weekend. If we just waited, dang.
Jet engine simulation, but with no flames.
Oh.
It's got the flap actuators. I'm looking to see if it's. I don't know how fast it can go, but it does have a 5-point racing harness.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many seats did the thing have in it, dude?
2 seats.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So what I want to know is it going to allow you to go down to the battle position at the front?
That's what I remembered. It had these different, positions that the vehicle would get into depending on what it wanted to do. Like it kind of would crouch and get the tires were up beside you and stuff, like the battle protector kind of thing.
If that's a little too much for you, they are selling a 1/6 scale replica for $635.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Hang on a second. 1/6.
Yeah.
That's 12-inch G.I. Joe size.
It really is. So, anyway.
How much was that one?
$635. and it's a Hot Toys replica.
Yeah,
so
that's actually not too bad for Hot Toys.
No, it's not. It's not. I want the giant penny from the Batcave.
Yeah.
You know, what was the story with the giant penny? Where did that come from?
I can't remember, and I should remember. I've probably got something I can look that up in, but
like your phone?
Yeah. Well, I guess I could look it up in my phone, but that's no fun. I want to use my Batman encyclopedia.
You do have a
that got on the shelf somewhere. Actually, maybe it's the shelf at work. Now I think about it.
Do you have to think about it?
Yeah, I think about it.
Let's see. It was found in the Batcave.
Are you looking it up?
I'm
actually?
looking it up.
I was just about
and so
you had the dinosaur and the giant penny.
Oh yeah, when a criminal who called himself the Penny Plunderer started operating in Gotham, Batman deduced that he would strike at the local coin exhibit, and he was obsessed with pennies. And he used a giant penny to defeat the criminal.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. I have a feeling that was like
that's on Earth too.
Retcon story.
Yeah.
You know, I have a feeling they came up with the Batcave. They put that memorabilia, and then somebody said, "Okay, we got to explain some of these things." So they came up with stories. Could be wrong.
Yeah. There was something else. No. Well,
okay.
There you go.
Good deal.
Lots of stuff. There's a newer version of the giant penny. There's a new 52 and a DC Rebirth version of the giant penny.
Oh.
An Earth 1 version of the giant penny.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just iconic.
It is. It really is.
I mean, you could get a bunch of pennies.
Wonder how big that thing is supposed to be, really.
Super glue them together.
15 feet.
I think it was like 20, 25 feet.
Okay.
So
it's a giant penny.
Yeah. It has to be kept polished to prevent corrosion.
Poor Alfred.
Yeah.
He's like, can we not get rid of this?
It became It says Batman and Robin were usually in charge of this chore, but in later years it has become Alfred's duty.
Oh, Alfred.
Poor Alfred. So yeah, but I would rather have a tumbler, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, can you imagine pulling up to work in a tumbler?
That'd be awesome.
You'd have to have like 3 parking spaces.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing because MSU parking services will be just waiting for me to show up and say,
Hey,
sorry, you only get one.
Have you, speaking of MSU,
$200 a year?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you could get $600 a year and
that's
get
true.
Three spots.
Yeah, but could I find 3 spots together?
Well, with the tumbler, you can make 3 spots together.
Good point.
Yeah.
And with the tumbler, I could also protest my ticket.
Oh, you could.
There's something outside we want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, speaking of MSU parking services, have you jumped on the automated cab?
I have not. I keep wanting to.
Really?
I do really want to try it, yeah. It's like a Johnny Cab from Total Recall.
Oh, I forgot about Johnny.
Welcome to Johnny Cab.
How funny would it be if there was a Johnny Mannequin?
Well, there is a guy that has to sit in there with it, and ride. To make
Wait.
Yeah. There's a guy that sits in there, or woman that sits in there. That's what I understand, yeah. But
Then
it's
why?
incredibly slow. It's like 15 miles an hour.
Then why?
Why, indeed. Yeah. Why, indeed. Maybe at some point they'll figure, okay, it's got it. But and it hesitates real bad at intersections because it can't decide if people are, people that are blowing through, looking at their phones and don't realize they have to stop. A lot of that going on.
Insert sexist driver joke here.
Yeah, well.
Sorry, Mrs.
It's
Reed.
as many guys as it is.
Well, I'm talking about never mind.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
Okay.
So, anyway. All right.
You're going to get us canceled.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. He'd give us a week or 2 off.
That's right.
So, or actually insert young driver joke here.
There you go.
Ugh. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk about all the hardware and software that the Big Fruit has rolled out this last week. And we're back. We're still without Jay, which maybe Jay's listening, and we can give him some buying advice on Apple products.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so I was completely oblivious of this until I started seeing stuff in my social media feeds last night. So when was the event?
There wasn't an event.
There was not an event.
There's no event. So the last event was the
iPhone.
Was the iPhone event, which they rolled out.
Or the iOS event.
Yeah.
I think they talked maybe some iPad stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Apple rolled out a new iPad mini last week.
Okay.
Nothing revolutionary about it.
Okay.
But they rolled out a new iPad.
Does it have a different chip? Does it have because everything else seemed to be going to the M2, M4 chips or whatever.
Let's see
or
if
not
I
the
can
M2, but the M4 chips.
Let's see if I can find out what. I'm looking.
And probably with the iPad, not much difference.
I don't think there was much difference. I think everything has gone to Apple Silicon now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything's got to be an M2 at this point. So they dropped that last week, and then there's speculation that there would be some stuff this week. So Apple has announced, number one, they rolled out iOS 18.1. All right, so iOS 18.1 for your iPhone with corresponding iPad OS 18.1 and Apple Sequoia 15.1 is the first version of Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, Apple
available.
Intelligence is what they call their artificial intelligence kind of thing, which I guess is basically Siri on steroids.
Yeah, you can tell it to summarize an email chain.
Kind of the same thing you do with ChatGPT, those kind of things, right?
Yeah, except it's built into the operating system.
Okay.
So, that software dropped right before the new. Well, no. iOS 18 dropped right before the new phones. 18.1 was the rollout. Mm-hmm. And then, let's see if I can find a list of everything.
And 18.1 is available now, right?
Yeah, I actually uploaded it. I mean, I downloaded it and installed it, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to do that this weekend, I think. Actually, I don't know. I may go ahead and just leave what I've got on there.
Are you going to get
me a new phone and then do it after that?
When are you going to get you a new phone?
I'm probably going to do it pretty soon. My battery is not lasting, through the work day, let alone the full day.
Yeah. So they dropped that. Then they dropped new hardware this week.
Yeah.
And so this week they dropped a new iMac.
Yes.
They dropped new MacBook Pros. And they dropped the new Mac Mini.
Yeah. And the Mac Mini is what I saw, and I thought this is somebody's made a fake ad because it looks just like a studio that fits in a Mac Studio that fits in the palm of your hand. The dimensions are almost the same.
Yeah.
Except I think it's only 5 by 5 inches.
5 by 5. It reminds me a lot of an Apple TV box.
A little bit taller, maybe half again as tall as the latest 4K TV box, maybe twice as tall.
Yeah.
But it looks about the same size of that.
And it
is that aluminum or whatever they got as opposed to black plastic.
So it looks a lot like a Mac Studio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's truly a mini computer.
Yeah.
All Apple machines now come stock with 16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
So what?
I guess they'll have to remove it at my workplace because they insist on. I'm just kidding. No, that's why the people that are getting new computers have 16 megabytes of RAM. I mean, 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Haven't had megabytes of RAM in a while, Art. Right. So
it just feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine running professional applications with 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
So, but apparently you can.
I can imagine it.
Yeah.
I can live it.
Yeah. So,
and it actually hadn't been that bad.
Well,
it's just if I need to do something. You wanted to crop that picture. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
sorry. But the Mac Mini looks good, and that may be something we go to. So the iMac is still at 24 inches.
Still 24 inches.
And we were really hoping for a wider screen with that.
And they went with the M4. I don't know if you can do an M4 Max or an M4 Pro. Let me look on the iMac. So the iMac has got that kind of thin bezel, almost like an iPad Pro on steroids.
Yeah, and I don't know what the obsession is with making that so thin. Because you've still got a base that comes off of it. It's not like you're sitting there going, I've got a desk that's 3 inches deep. Let me see if I can put this thing on here.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that. I mean, I would rather have an iMac Pro, but I don't think they're going to go that route anytime soon.
iMac Pros no longer exist.
Yeah,
So I'm going to look.
But the Mac Mini does come with the Pro.
Yeah.
The Max and the Pro.
So I'm looking at I'm going to customize a blue iMac right now. So you could go with the nano texture glass, which is supposed to be really nice.
That's non-reflective. Or
non-reflective.
More non-reflective than the
usual.
So
I'm going to go to 32 megs of memory.
Okay.
I'm going to go to 2 terabytes of storage.
And that's all SSD storage, right?
That's all SSD. And I'm stuck at the M4 chip, and I'm at $28.99.
Wow.
So I don't.
And it does not come with the keyboard and does not come with the mouse.
No, and they've moved all their accessories to USB-C. So even the rechargeable mouse now has a USB-C plug instead of a Lightning That's
port
right.
on the bottom, but still on the bottom. But
which is the dumbest thing ever.
Well,
Yeah.
right up there with the Apple TV remote.
Don't even get me started on that. I mean, that's the worst remote ever. So that's the new iMac. And, it's probably cost effective if you want a really nice monitor. But again, it's a 24-inch monitor.
Yeah, 24-inch monitor.
I'm surrounded by 28, 30-inch iMacs. And those, to me, that was the sweet spot.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because I think that was the perfect. And it was a beautiful monitor, held up really well. I mean, I've got, iMacs at work and at home that are many years old now. Monitor still looks great, and it's almost a shame to think we can't update the software anymore. Of course, in some cases you don't need to, but you've got this beautiful monitor. Of course, you could turn that into a external monitor if you want to, but it just never is kind of cumbersome.
Well, I mean, can't you? I mean, you can now take a Thunderbolt 3 or 4 out, go to a Thunderbolt 2 adapter, and use it as a monitor.
That's what I did during COVID. I had a iMac that was older and had a Thunderbolt 2 or DisplayPort in, or just Thunderbolt 2, and I had a MacBook Pro. And so I would use that as my external monitor. It worked great, but it's not, you have to still make sure when you're starting it up, it's in, I don't think it's target mode for the display. There must be a display mode that you're using.
There's a display target mode.
Yeah. And it just, it doesn't really come on like you want your stuff to come on.
Yeah.
It's granted, it's a first world problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is kind of cumbersome. But it made for a beautiful display.
Sure.
Yeah.
The MacBook Pros they're in pre-order and all this stuff. By the time this podcast drops, you should be able to grab one. So let's explore the MacBook Pro. So you got a 14 or a 16-inch. In my life, 16 inch is the minimum. I've got to have a 16-inch machine.
Unless you're looking for extreme portability,
then I'm going to go with the MacBook Air.
Well, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I've got a 15-inch MacBook Air that's an M2 chip, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It may be my favorite computer of all time. It's thin, it's quick. I can do Adobe Premiere on it. It does everything I need it to do, and it holds a charge forever.
That's cool. That's an Air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an Air. So 16-inch MacBook Pro. So if I want to go with the M4 chip, they're all M4. If I want to go with the M4 Pro chip,
that is available for that. Right?
Yeah. So we're talking just initially getting the door is $2,500 for the for 24 megs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. And I don't know what the difference is between these two guys. I'm looking at it.
Does the MacBook Pro have Thunderbolt 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's got 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports.
Okay.
And
the other one only has like.
I think they've all got Thunderbolt.
Oh, okay,
5.
great. Okay, good.
And so let's go to all chips. Yeah, all the MacBook Pros all have Thunderbolt 5s. So if we go to the Macs, the M4 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro with 48 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of storage is $4,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. So probably not my use case at this point. I've kind of abandoned the MacBook Pro because I'm not editing video, hardcore video, traveling.
Right.
So I would probably go with a 16-inch MacBook Pro with just the regular M4 chip and try to get a 32 gigs of RAM is what I would do. So that would be my recommendation. I would not recommend the iMac unless you're satisfied with the 24-inch screen.
Yeah, no, the iMac is a very niche kind of audience for that.
It's
somebody that wants everything contained. Now, again, the IT folks at work will explain the beauty of the iMac. And they agree the screen's too small now. But the beauty of the iMac is all the stuff you had to buy as peripherals, including a very good camera.
Yeah.
And then some ports and stuff. You didn't have to. They were pretty much on the iMac. You used to have an SD card. I don't know if it still does or not.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's a great thing. But yeah, it's just not. I don't see any real use for it.
Yeah, I mean it's more of a high school, middle school, probably sort of thing.
Probably.
Or an ad agency bullpen where you've got a bunch of younger eyes,
right? And you've got a desk, and they're going to come there, and everything's just there, and they just sit down and do it. Yeah. But the Mac Mini really has some appeal to me. It always has. The Mac Mini has always been kind of, and again, I ended up going with the Studio rather than the Mac Mini when I got something in Christmas last year. And I've really liked that computer a lot. But the Mac Mini is just I like the little form factor of it. It's cool. But it's also very robust.
It is. Yeah. You could almost Velcro it to the back of a monitor.
Exactly. Yeah. Really could, couldn't you? Yeah. And the other thing is, I think it supports 3 monitors.
Yeah. So it depends on the chipset. So you can get
up to 3 monitors. Yeah.
You can get a Mac Mini with just an M4 chip, 10-core GPU, 10-core CPU, 16 gigs of memory, and 256 gigs of storage, which is not a lot.
Not a lot. Basically, you're going to put your system stuff on, and you're going to have an external drive with everything else on it if you go that route. Which, if you've got, I guess it's got Thunderbolt 5 on it as well. But even if it doesn't, you've still got a pretty good. If you've got an SSD external card with a Thunderbolt connection, you've got a fast throughput. Yeah, so you're good.
So this has got 2 USB-C ports on the front.
Okay.
This is the M4 version, and then 3 Thunderbolt 4 on the back.
Okay.
But it also has built-in HDMI and built-in Ethernet.
Oh, okay, cool. So you don't have to have a dongle to get that kind of stuff in there.
Now,
so you can obviously run a display off the Thunderbolt. You could also go out
or
HDMI.
That HDMI is going to support a 4K HDMI.
Yeah.
But if you go to the M4 Pro, which I think is kind of the place to be, you start with a 12-core CPU, 16-core GPU, 24 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigs of storage. That gives you 2 USBs up front. That gives you 3 Thunderbolt 5s on the back.
Yeah.
That's $1,400.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very doable. Okay, you got to get a monitor, but monitors you can get pretty cheap now.
Yeah.
I mean, a decent monitor you can still get pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got the advantage of being able to, either get a very wide, one of those curved monitors like I'm seeing around here at Broadcast Media and coveting. Or you can get a couple of monitors set up if you want to. And the other thing too is, you've got, I've got a 15-inch, really nice monitor that will run off USB power. And it's got its own stand, props up. You could throw that Mac Mini, that thing, in a bag, and you've got incredible processing power.
You do,
and a lot of portability. Plus, and that's if you just need to use that monitor more often than not. You can go and hook into any type of, even if it came down to it, you could hook into a really nice 4K TV and be able to work on stuff.
And I think for me, the Mac Mini is the place to be.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what we'll see at work. Anybody that gets a new computer will get a Mac Mini monitor connection there.
And I think you're going to see Apple decide they're going to see that the Mac Mini, the higher end Mac Mini, is going to be cannibalizing the studios.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they've got to do something for a value add for the studio. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that we'll ever see a Mac Pro again.
I don't think we will either. I think the Mac Studio is probably going to take that space. But I'm telling you what, had this been offered last year, or if I were looking this year, I would probably have gone the highest end Mac Mini route.
Yeah.
Because of the processing power. And I will say, a lot of people say, well, you can't get an NVIDIA card for that, so you don't have the, I don't know what the GPU or what the graphics, it's whatever. It runs metal.
Yeah.
And I will say, other than something that absolutely requires an NVIDIA card, like if I'm rendering in Blender, it has a metal, it recognizes metal, and it renders pretty fast. I don't really see a loss. There are there's pieces of software I have that are built for NVIDIA. Yeah. Even that's not too bad, though.
No, it's not. Apple's done a great job of optimizing the operating system with the Apple Silicon. Mm-hmm. And, you've got to feel like they're making more money off these machines since they're doing their own chipset.
Yeah, because they own every part of it. Or most of it. I'm sure there's some stuff that's, I can't imagine what that would be, though.
Yeah. I don't know either, but I'm looking
drives, maybe.
I'm looking at Intel stock price, right?
Uh-huh.
Over the last year, high around 50, and and 52-week high of $51.28. 52-week low recently of $18. And you go back and you look at where Intel was, it was upwards of close to $80 a share.
Wow.
At the height of the PC revolution. And Intel's lost everybody.
Wow.
So I mean, most of my workstations here are AMD processors.
That's what AMD's what you've got. Yeah.
Apple Silicon. When they lost Mac, when they lost Apple's.
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy.
Yeah. But and you point out, I mean, your shop here too has also gone to PCs, which is why you're mentioning that processor. Yeah. Right? Because Mac kind of abandoned the professional period, creative, regardless of what they were doing, video, graphics, or whatever. But certainly for video, because you couldn't expand anything with the trash can Mac Pro, they'd lost a lot of folks. And so, devil's advocate, if you're buying something, are you still looking at Mac? Or are you still looking at PCs and something like? If you want a laptop, you're going to get a Mac or a PC. And again, it depends on use, I guess.
Yeah, if I'm going to get a laptop, I'm going to get a Mac. I'm going to stay within the ecosystem just because. And I had this conversation with my buddy Kerry Dismore about it. The Mac ecosystem with my iPhone and iPad works so incredibly well with a Mac laptop. And it's very, very difficult to be an iPhone, iPad, PC laptop.
It is, yes. I've gotten a PC laptop at home for my mother and have been working on that a lot. And I like it. It's great. It's a great machine. None of the PCs, to me, laptops especially, feel as solid or as well built. And granted, I'm not necessarily getting the higher end PCs, but they don't feel as solid as those. But they work great. They're great machines. But I do miss. I mean, we've also got a PC now at church, which is a big gaming PC, and it's very robust, very fast. But I miss little things like AirDrop. Yeah. I got a picture here that I've taken with my phone that I need to send over to the church computer to be able to use it in a video stream. And it's just, I got to email it to myself or do something. I know there's other ways around it, but the AirDrop, just those little things.
Those little touches really makes it. And I love the fact that I'm able to take a photo on my iPhone and it's going to absolutely update everywhere else in iPhoto. And that's the magic of iCloud.
And we don't use that to the degree we should. I mean, I think Becky's stuff is all tied into iCloud. Mine's not. But, I mean, there's certainly problems. I mean, with the iOS and the, OS systems and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if I have to enter my name and password again, I do it every 3 or 4 times a week, it seems.
For your Apple ID?
Yeah, just always doing that. Yeah. And then once it does it somewhere, you've got to do it on every device you own. Ridiculous. And I own a lot of them. I got a bunch of Apple TVs and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. But like I said, there's trade-offs on both systems. But so that's curious. But in terms of your studio work, you're not changing over anything.
Yeah, we'll keep PCs for editing. And I guess my advice would be, a modern iPhone, which is going to be version 13 or above. Go ahead and get to iOS 18.1. It seems to be very stable, and there's some nice little touches in it. I would get to Sequoia, which is 15.1, the operating system.
Yeah, I need to update my studio when I get home.
But, and if I'm looking at something for a desktop replacement, I'm probably looking at a Mac Mini.
Yeah, I really think that's the way to go. I mean, I really do.
But again, I love my MacBook Air. Yeah. That 15-inch MacBook Air is a great machine.
Well, and I think you're right. You cannot, if you're going to compromise on something, screen size is really not what you want to compromise on, because end of the day, performance capabilities are probably not that different or not really noticeable. You'll see all these stats and all this kind of stuff of what you can do. You want to make sure your machine has enough RAM, enough memory, enough storage rather, and that it's capable of doing things. But at the end of the day, you'll see these percentage points. Oh, it's this much faster, and you go, it's imperceptible. Really,
yeah, it really is. Well, and let me do a shout out to the Apple Refurb store on Apple.com.
Is that where you got your?
I buy everything refurb. So obviously you can't get the latest, greatest, but you get you get a machine that has been put back through the paces, fixed, whatever, and comes with an Apple new warranty.
I would also say, too, kind of a caveat to what all we're talking about is be careful buying new hardware, first-generation hardware.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something, I usually like to wait. So have somebody. It used to be on the bleeding edge. Now, I like to wait and have people, try it out and find out what's wrong. Oh, we didn't realize, that had this major flaw in it. That'll be fixed with our next hardware release. So I usually will wait till the second generation. And sometimes, if everything's okay, I watch the second generation to take advantage of the lower prices you can find on refurb.
And with software, I usually wait till a dot release.
Yeah.
Like Sequoia is now at 15.1.
Yeah.
And so I usually wait till that release. And I've gotten where I will upgrade in place as opposed to wiping my hard drive completely and re-upgrading. The last 2 times I've done an operating system upgrade on my laptop, I've done an in-place upgrade.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I usually do too.
Yeah.
And more often than not, there's no problem.
Yeah.
The main thing is you may end up with a lot of chuff, and you kind of got to go make sure you go through and clean your system out. But you need to do that anyway.
I use Onyx to do a lot of that stuff.
It's a great software. So it's free software still too, right?
Yeah. Titanium.fr, I think, is the company that does it. Just look for Onyx for Mac. And there's
ONYX.
There's a specific version for each operating system, Mac operating system. So it's going to go in, it's going to clean your caches out. It
does a really nice job.
Yeah.
And you will see some performance boost from that.
Yeah. It's almost like a purge. Yeah. So. But the other thing, hold on, sorry. The other thing I want to make a comment about is if you've got AirPod Pros 2, then with 18.1, iOS 18.1, you have the firmware available that will allow you to use them as hearing aids.
Okay, so you have to have 18.1 on your iPhone.
Yes.
Do you do anything to upgrade?
So the way AirPods work from a firmware standpoint, they will silently cue your phone and say, "Oh, is there a new firmware?" And it's just going to you don't
have to do anything. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
So,
because that's something I'm very interested in trying.
Yeah. So it only works with the AirPod Pro 2s. Yeah. It doesn't work with anything else. You got to have iOS 18.2.
Yeah.
And you have to do a hearing test.
Yeah.
And it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's got to be cool.
So, yeah. I mean, it's pretty impressive that you can do this, and it's going to map your deficiencies of what frequencies you can or cannot hear.
And so it compensates. If you've got one ear that's better than the other, it's going to make that compensation for you, so you're not getting just a blanket kind of increase in volume.
It's creating an audiogram. Yeah. And so anyway, it's just amazing what the technology can do. It
is really incredible. So I'm going to try that.
All right. Well, I guess that does it this week. Jay, there will be a test next week, so we want to make sure that you listened, and then we will give results.
He's spending all his money on that tumbler. He's not going to
probably is one of 2 of them.
That's right.
So awesome. All right. See you next time around.